Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the men and women of the 3rd Maintenance Squadron, in keeping one of the oldest traditions in military service, pay special tribute to Master Sergeant Mark R. Letzenheiser on the occasion of retirement from active duty after 20 years, 1 month, and 29 days of faithful service. Throughout the ceremony, there will be times where you will be asked to stand and be seated, and as a reminder, during the playing of the national anthem, military members in uniform should stand at attention, and members in civilian attire should place their right hand over their heart. Officiating today's ceremony is First Lieutenant Allison DeHarsh, 3rd Wing Executive Officer, Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson, Alaska. I am Master Sergeant Christopher Johnson, and I will be your narrator for today's ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem and an invocation by Technical Sergeant Jessica Keisha.
Post the colors.
Cut. And cut. Forward. Arm. Forward. Cut.
Mark. Fine. Colors. Halt. Reset. Arm.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Port. Arm.
Loving God, creator of life, author of friendship, inspirer of selfless service, we thank you today for Master Sergeant Letzenheiser, Danielle, and their children for their service to our country and commitment to the Air Force. As he transitions to the next stage in life, taking the next step in the path you have set before him, bless their marriage, guide them, and lead them forward into tomorrow in your strength and wisdom. Give your servant, Master Sergeant Letzenheiser, plenty of hope to keep him joyful, enough trials to keep him strong, abundant friends to give him comfort, ample success to keep him eager, sufficient enthusiasm to make him look forward to each tomorrow, enough wealth to meet his needs and maybe a few wants, adequate guidance to pick out his own clothes each day, protection and safety as he relearns how to walk across the street in the dark without a reflective belt. Steadiness of foot as he begins to wear shoes instead of the boots he's donned each day for the past 20 years, and give him the determination to make each new day better than the one before. Bless our times together this morning with good memories well shared, good food thankfully received, and good friends and thoughtful conversation. Thank you for our nation, for all our brothers and sisters in arms, and the quest for peace across this globe. Thank you for today's example and reminder of selfless devotion to duty, and inspire us all to the same. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Sergeant Keachley. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Now allow me to extend a special welcome to Sergeant Letzenheiser's special guest in the audience today. We have his wife, Danielle, his daughters, Amanda and Grace, his sons, Tyler and Zachary, and his father-in-law, Mr. Jack Dethridge. We are also honored to have in an audience today from the 3rd Maintenance Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Smith, Commander. Also in attendance from the 3rd Maintenance Squadron, Operations Officer, Mr. David Johnson. And finally, I'd like to welcome all other commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, supervisor, and friends. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor and privilege to introduce the presiding official for today's ceremony, from the 3rd Wing Executive Officer, First Lieutenant Allison DeHarsh.
We're just going to do the sporadic clapping today. I see, that's good. Well, first of all, hello to everyone, and thank you for coming. This is a pretty awesome occasion. It's finally here, Lou. We finally did it, and everything came together, and we are all here gathered together in order to honor you and everything that you have done for the Air Force and for so many people in the Air Force, and so many missions over the last 20 years, 1 month, and 29 days of your dedicated service. So a special thanks also to Senior Master Sergeant Becerra and Master Sergeant Johnson and the airmen of Maintenance Flight and CDAR specifically. You guys put a ton of hard work into this, and it's very evident, and it is appreciated. Also, thank you to Tech Sergeant Keachley for your invocation, and thank you, Amanda, for paying homage so beautifully to our national anthem. And thank you, Lou, for allowing me to participate in this prestigious occasion where we commemorate you. Appreciate it. Also to Master Sergeant Letzenheiser's family, we are here to celebrate Lou, but we are also here to celebrate and thank you just as much. All of his years of service could not have been possible without all of your support and your incredible flexibility over the last 20 years. So, speaking of the last 20 years, let's walk through that, hit some of the highlights, but we'll start a little bit before that. Lou was born in Seattle and grew up in San Diego, California. As you can imagine, he played a lot of sports through high school. He was involved with football and wrestling and baseball and track and field. And those are things that he has carried into adulthood and his passion for sports and activity, and he has passed those things on to his children, which is a pretty awesome memento to carry on as you grow up and take those passions with you. So Mark had always planned on joining the military. He had, his father was in the Navy, and his grandfather was in the Army. So he heard the call to serve his nation, and he wanted to respond to that. So he went and talked to his dad, and he said, hey, what should I do? And should I join the Navy or the Army? And his dad said, well, neither. You should probably join the Air Force, and proceeded to tell him a whole bunch of horror stories about the Navy and the Army. So that was enough to convince Lou to join the Air Force instead. So he signed up his junior year of high school for the Delayed Enlistment Program. And essentially what that means is, by doing that, he reserved himself a spot in the Air Force once he graduated high school. So he was ready to serve from a young age. His senior year, he met Danielle. They, as you would have guessed, met after a football game. And they were, however, from rival schools. And from what I hear, Danielle would not wear his Letterman jacket to school. Is that true? So it was specifically mentioned, so I assume that there was some sort of bone of contention with that. But so Mark and Danielle dated, and things proceeded to get serious, and they received the good news that they would be having a son, Tyler. And So they decided to move up the wedding date, and they wed on the 18th of May, 1997, after graduating. And then just 1.5 short months later, on the 2nd of July, Mark went to basic training at Lackland. So Mark came in with a desire to be an electrician or a jet engine mechanic. And for those of you that know, maintenance is something that caters to a unique demographic, and we are a unique culture here. And sometimes it's one of those things where you choose maintenance, and sometimes maintenance chooses you. And Mark is one of those rare guys where both of those worlds collided, and he had the passion for it, and he fit maintenance, but maintenance also fit him. And that has been evident over the years. He did, however, have a brief lapse of judgment where he considered going into combat control, which is the guys that jump out of the airplanes and go into the combat zone. So he went and talked to Danielle about that, and she gave him some wifely advice and said, let's not do that. Let's maybe go with maintenance. So redirected him back into that. So he went to technical school at Shepherd immediately following basic training so that he would become familiar with the important role of being an aircraft electrical and environmental systems mechanic, which we call E&E. So now before I go any further, some people, I knew this would happen. Some people just get blessed with phenomenal assignments, and Lou is one of those people. So wait until you hear some of these places that he has gone and the things that he has done there. Air-powered. So his first assignment was to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Arizona, where he worked as an E&E troop on the C-130. You gotta do timing. While he was stationed there with Danielle and his son Tyler, their daughter Amanda was born. So, for many reasons, as a senior airman on this assignment, Lou has stated that that assignment was by far his favorite. So there's a lot of reasons why, but I think it's a 6 front, we'll wait and see. But he often went to Aviano, Italy, in support of NATO's efforts in Kosovo, and his sole purpose was to focus on fixing planes and making the mission happen, which is basically every mechanic's dream, to wake up and go to work and do physical labor, doing something that you love, and to produce sorties that directly affect the mission. This is the mechanic's dream. So during his time there, he experienced what he views as the greatest achievement of his Air Force career. While he was TDY to Aviano, his unit was supporting the Kosovo conflict with their C-130E Airborne Battlefield Command and Control Center. And so their aircraft had a cracked exhaust pipe that needed to be replaced. And the aircraft was on the schedule for the day. They were already in the process of getting things fixed and ready to go. However, the order came down that said they needed to launch that aircraft immediately for a search mission involving a downed F-117 aircraft. So his team spun into high gear, essentially went into NASCAR pit crew mode, and they replaced the engine component in minutes, and this is usually a component that took up to 3 hours to replace. Because of their quick reaction time, Lieutenant Colonel Dale Zelko was found and brought home to safety. It is safe to say that over the years, Lou has fixed countless aircraft that have saved lives, but the reality of that particular mission has stayed with him. And it's been a reminder that he has made a permanent difference in the United States Air Force and has directly impacted the mission and saved people's lives. When he completed his time at Davis-Monthan, he and his family then went to Keflavik, Iceland, I know it's terrible, right, for 2 years, where he supported a KC-135, KC-130, HH-60s, and F-15 aircraft. So during his time there, he supported everything from Russian Tu-95 Bear bomber interceptions to the routine yet incredible rescues of stranded Icelandic fishermen. He and his family then moved from Iceland to Ramstein, Germany, where their third child, Zachary, was born. Here, Lou worked as an E&E craftsman on the C-130E fleet. After working on this aging airframe, Mark was honored to become the only flying crew chief in his entire career field. He was also selected as the lead technician and sole nuclear surety inspection qualified E&E mechanic. Essentially what that means is Lou exuded excellence throughout his career, and he was consistently the one that was called upon to perform these unique and above and beyond tasks. Even in his very first couple EPRs, his section chief called him one of their best airmen, a hard worker, dedicated, and a role model for his peers and other airmen to emulate. Once their time in Germany had come to a close, the Letzenheisers arrived at Fairchild Air Force Base in Washington in February of 2007, where their fourth child, Grace, was born. Here, Mark learned the ins and outs of how to sweet talk a KC-135 into staying in one piece. He also worked as a lead technician, lead QA inspector, FOD dot monitor, and flight line expediter. He was the go-to man. He was a jack of all trades. His expertise and intuitivism was recognized as he supported many deployments to Manas, Kyrgyzstan, and Al Udeid, Qatar. After 5 years in Washington, Mark and his family, well, no, I'm sorry, not his family. Mark went on a terrible assignment all by himself. We gotta wait, build the suspense. To Crete, Greece, for a 1-year tour, and he had to go without his family. But this, he says, could arguably be called a paid vacation, where he worked as the Maintenance Information Content Center NCOIC and supported the RC-135S. So most of the missions there were missions that can't be elaborated upon. But the mission itself and the people that were chosen to support that mission were vital to the United States Air Force. So even though he had a paid vacation, it was a necessary paid vacation. Finally, in August of 2013, the Letzenheisers made their way to their final destination and their last PCS here at J-Bear, Alaska. Since being here, Lewis successfully tackled many duties and knocked all of them out of the park. This includes section chief in the 703rd AMXS 517th, being production superintendent, lead production super, HSC section chief in MXS maintenance flight, and section chief of crash recovery, aerospace repair, and wheel and tire. He's also volunteered in the J-Bear Wildlife Program as a military conservation agent, and he calls his experience in Alaska a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. When Mark joined the Air Force, he knew that his end goal was to become a master sergeant, to retire with medical benefits, and to travel the world. So Mark has more than met those goals. He's here as an outstanding senior NCO master sergeant who has mentored me and hundreds of airmen. He's retiring with medical benefits, and he has been all over the world. He did tell me this week that he has yet to see the Pacific, and he did say that he's going to have a lot of spare time coming up, though, so maybe he'll just go next week. All of us know Mark, and we know that he has a plethora of hobbies that will keep him busy in retirement. He's going to do things like hunting and fishing and ATVing and snow machining and coaching and a lot more. But what you may not know is that Mark is going to continue his education, and he has hopes of becoming an elementary school teacher. Having a little bit of dabbled in this in the past, I can tell you that Mark will be phenomenal at that. But along with all those activities that he'll do in retirement, what's most true is that he'll be spending a lot of time with his family. When I spoke to him about his greatest regret in life, he said that it's the time that has been spent away from his family that can never be gained back. However, when asked about his greatest achievement in his entire life, he told me, it's my family. Having been married to Danielle for over 20 years, they just celebrated their 20th anniversary, and having 4 wonderful kids. Mark's proudest moments in his life are the moments when his kids were born, and the idea that gives him the most hope and the most peace as he looks down the road is the realization that his children are all on their way to leading successful lives of their own. All of Mark's greatest life achievements and most cherished moments revolve around his family. And we all know that this life of dedication to our country, the ones that suffer the most are our families. With deployments and TDYs and long work days, oftentimes our spouses become something like stay-at-home single parents. And it's a high price to pay for our freedom, but it is one that we do together. So over the last 20 years, Danielle has worked hard to be successful and to be a successful home manager. She's been taking care of the kids, attending and volunteering with scouts in school and running a daycare in her home when they were stationed in Iceland. She's been busy for 20 years. She has loved being able to travel and experience different cultures and history, and she has seen the world with Mark and their children. Danielle told me that what she's proudest of over the last 20 years is absolutely everything that Mark has done, everything that he's impacted, and everything that he's learned. Not only has Mark been a dedicated E&E troop, a section chief, an NCOIC in the Air Force, but he's also found time to serve in the community with their children. He's coached various sports, and he remains tireless in his 100% dedication to whatever he does. Lou told me that his fondest memory over the years is one time when he came home early from a deployment. He hadn't told Danielle, and 48 hours before he was supposed to get home, he showed up, and her reaction was so ecstatic and so sincere that has stuck with him as his dearest memory of all time. I asked Lou for some advice that he could pass on to us so that we can carry the torch, some lessons learned. His advice was to remember that people are what make this Air Force so great. People are what keep the mission successful. Take care of those around you, not just below you, but above you. And so they can stay focused on the mission, and they can learn to take care of each other as well. Some advice that was given to him was, do what you love so that it never feels like work. When it starts to feel like work, maybe it's time to move on. Maybe that's where we are. As for the lessons he learned from the Air Force, the key things were responsibility, respect, discipline, and the difference between a leader and someone in charge. Master Sergeant Letzenheiser's impact over the last 20 years is immeasurable, not only because of the things he's done, the places he's gone, and the remarkable things that he has accomplished, but because of the people that you have impacted. Mark may not always be the first one to provide a solution, but when he does, his solution is almost always the one that you go with. There are countless times that come to mind when we would be working through a problem in the flight and Lou would be the one to voice the most logical opinion, no matter how difficult of a pill it was to swallow. No matter how much we didn't want to hear it, he would be the one to say it. He was always willing to advocate for those that have earned advocation, and he's willing to challenge the status quo and encourage those around him to perform at a higher standard. He is the first one to volunteer to help someone out, even if that means driving down to Whittier on a rainy day to load up a broken Durango and haul it back to Anchorage on a flatbed. So all that being said, what a phenomenal career. 8 bases, multiple deployments, innumerable TDYs, and countless hours spent changing the Air Force for good. Even though you're entering a new, amazing phase of life where you're going to become a mister, you will always carry the good standing of being a Master Sergeant first in our hearts. Thank you for your dedication and your service to the unit, to the Air Force, and to our country, and I wish you the best of luck as you move forward in life. Thank you.
Sergeant Letzenheiser, please join Lieutenant DeHarsh at center stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand as Lieutenant DeHarsh retires Sergeant Letzenheiser from the United States Air Force upon his completion of 20 years, 1 month, and 29 days of active duty service.
Publish the orders.
Attention to orders. In accordance with Special Order Number Alpha Charlie 013168, dated 21 September 2016. Master Sergeant Mark R. Letzenheiser, you are relieved from active duty effective 31 August 2017. 3rd Maintenance Squadron, Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, Alaska, and retired effective 1 September 2017. Per Air Force Instruction 363203 in the grade of Master Sergeant, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Lieutenant DeHarsh will now present a certificate of retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America, which reads, to all who shall see these presents greetings. This is to certify that Master Sergeant Mark R. Letzenheiser, having served faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the 1st day of September 2017. Signed, Christopher J. Nemai, Colonel, 3rd Wing Commander, and David Goldfein, General Chief of Staff. In honor of Sergeant Letzenheiser's retirement, we have a special certificate to present to the President of the United States. The certificate reads as follows. Dear Mark, I extend to you my personal thanks and sincere appreciation of a grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice, in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. Your commitment and dedication have been an inspiration for those who will follow you in your footsteps, and for all Americans who join me today in saluting you for a job extremely well done. My best wishes to you and happiness and success in the future. Signed, Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief. Additionally, we have a certificate of appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, and it reads as follows. Master Sergeant Mark R. Letzenheiser, I am proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. The achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well deserved, but your selfless contributions will be sorely missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Signed, James A. Cody, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. And lastly, a letter of congratulations from Colonel Nemai, 3rd Wing Commander, Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson, Alaska. Dear Sergeant Letzenheiser, I'd like to wish you and Danielle congratulations on the occasion of your retirement from active duty service to our country. You contributed directly to the many accomplishments of the 3rd Wing. Your devotion to duty and outstanding support to the Air Force mission have been recorded solidly through your career. On the occasion of your departure from active duty, let me express my sincere desire for your continued success, as I join with you, your many friends at the 3rd Wing, in wishing you and your family all the very best. Sincerely, Christopher J. Nemai, Colonel, 3rd Wing Commander. It is a long-standing tradition for the spouse to pin the retirement pin on the retiree. Mrs. Letzenheiser, will you please come forward? Mrs. Letzenheiser, would you please place a retirement pin on your husband's left lapel? This pin may be worn proudly to show others the years of commitment and service Master Sergeant Letzenheiser has dedicated to the United States of America. Lieutenant DeHarsh will now present Mrs. Letzenheiser with the Air Force Spouse Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Air Force, followed by the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force Certificate of Appreciation. The certificates read as follows. In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents a certificate of recognition to Danielle M. Letzenheiser for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for your support, which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Signed, Colonel Christopher J. Nemai, Commander, 3rd Wing, and General David Goldfein, Chief of Staff. Along with that is another certificate from Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. On behalf of all Air Force airmen and their families, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force presents a certificate of appreciation to Danielle M. Letzenheiser. I join your spouse, family, and friends in thanking you for the numerous contributions and sacrifices you made in support of our nation's United States Air Force. Your dedication gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service in defense of our nation. Signed, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, James Cody. Master Sergeant Letzenheiser would now like to present a small token of appreciation to his wife Danielle for over 20 years of support during his Air Force career.
the years dealing with me so far. I got you some red roses to sweeten you up a little bit. And so I also got you a little memento. Out of all the deployments, the time we get to spend on the phone, we'd always, for some reason, go back to high school days, and we'd always fight over who could say "I love you" more the last, and it'd be pretty much like 100 times, and then the last one to hang up was the one that won.
I love you more than hang up.
So I always try to win in everything I do. So I found this while I was looking for things, and I didn't really know what to get you. But it's a little heart pennant, and it says, "I love you more."
Thank you, Mrs. Letzenheiser. Lieutenant Colonel Smith, would you please come forward? Colonel Smith would like to present Sergeant Letzenheiser with a gift from his 3rd Maintenance Squadron.
So as you guys are starting to recognize the often coveted gold pan that we've produced over the last couple of years, I wanted to be able to present that to you. It's an honor to be able to present this to you on stage. First off, I want to thank you for all the work that you put into maintaining CDAR, the absolute best CDAR section in the entire Air Force as far as I'm concerned. It's not easy to do that. It's not easy to keep track of all that stuff. It's not easy to maintain all of that in some of the facilities that we've given you guys in order to try and maintain it. So thank you very much. Thank you for keeping up the training. As Allison mentioned before, you're obviously dedicated to your airmen, and it showed in the time that you spent here in KMXS. So it might have been a little bit out of your comfort zone, but I think you did a phenomenal job, and I can't thank you enough for the efforts that you put in. So Master Sergeant Mark R. Lou Letzenheiser, from August '96 to August of 2017. Thank you for your more than 20 years of service, I guess, for being delayed in this new program. Selfless service to the Air Force. Your hard work and dedication to the 3rd Maintenance Squadron will surely be missed. Congratulations on your retirement, and best of luck in your future endeavors. Only the best, and
Sergeant Shu, one of the 3 members of the Wolf Pack.
Just love
We'd like to provide a memento from the maintenance flight.
for maintenance flight. Well, I've known Mark now here for a few years, and one story that comes to the front of my mind is when I neglected my airmen. I had to go fishing, so I stepped down as a section chief for a little bit and hit the waters, and Mark stepped in for me. So I can tell you that he's always been very positive through all the situations, and he's always been there for the people. So from maintenance flight, your Air Force time has come to an end, and your positivity will be missed. As you transition to your new life, we wish you the best of luck in whatever you endeavor. Congratulations.
All right, so most of you know Mark's been a knife fan from the beginning, and normally what we do in our section, CDAR, AR Will and Tire, in the past was these kukri knives. Every time we pull one out, he gets excited. I don't know what it is, but something that we thought about from the very beginning, that we were going to always save him one. You've been a brother. And like Shu, we've been, what, 13? So I was a section chief in the 517th with him. And we pretty much followed each other all the way around to the CDAR AR Will and Tire Shop. So the three wolf pack. We're losing one, but we'll still be here. So that being said, I love you like a brother. All right. The guys in the shop, I know they appreciate you. You taught them a lot. You taught me a lot. And now I get to take the reins. So, it says, thanks for your hard work and dedication. Have fun living the retired life. You will be missed. So, here's your certificate.
And then you can have it.
We also know that you're a huge fisherman, and it is salmon season.
Back up, Zach.
And you mentioned that you didn't have a fish whacker. So we got something better. So those of you that are familiar with Alaska know that this is a noosic. Well, but it's also known as a fish whacker. So this will help here in the next few hours. So on behalf of the shop, this is your Oh, goodness. Okay. Moving on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present to you Master Sergeant Mark R. Letzenheiser, United States Air Force, retired. Sergeant Letzenheiser would now like to bring up a few items to give out to the children, starting with the young ladies first.
Girls, come on up. All right. So I kind of got them a little bit of the same thing, a little bit different. It's hard being a dad over all these years and then trying to figure out what do I give my two little girls as a thank you for your entire lives and during this military effort that we've been through. All the traveling, all the moving, all the friend changing. And I appreciate the positivity and how much you guys are willing to move for that next time. Do it with a positive manner, not drag me and your mom through. So, with that, I got you both roses. And Grace, I got you a little bracelet you can wear in memory of this day. And yours says, daughters, man, I need glasses. Daughters are 1,000 little lessons of love. And Grace, I thought that fit you because you're going to give me all kinds. And Amanda, I also got you one as well, so that you can remember this day as well. And since you're a little bit older, this one says, daughter, my love spread your wings and fly. Boys. So, same thing. Both of your lives have been drugged through everything that I've gone through. From the time missing me, and Tyler, you've been there from the beginning. Before I joined and went off, and all the times away from home. And so, I thought long and hard, and I didn't know what to get you. But we're in Alaska, so let's get you some ice. So when you guys sit there and look around the house for a knife, and you end up stealing mine and not putting it back,
tag.
a lot. I got these ones where there's two in a nice leather case. And you guys can keep a hold of these and remember them from this day forward. You got these today. Thank you so much. All right. Colonel Smith, Mr. Johnson, Chief, LP, thank you so much for coming today. Jack, thanks for coming up. Rebecca, my friends, thank you for coming out. Lieutenant Payton, Senior Zimmerman, thanks for coming over from 517. Appreciate it. Mark from the Wildlife Program, and all the other wildlife agents back there, thank you so much. It means a lot. That program, like I said, is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We should go Lieutenant DeHarsh. Thank you. Such kind words. You put a lot of effort into that. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Chris, awesome job so far. This thing's perfect. I couldn't ask someone better to do it. Except for maybe you and Shu at the same time. We have 3 people up here. Sergeant Becerra, thank you. Sergeant Collins, thank you. Chris kept telling me I had to write stuff down. Because I'd probably ramble on. And I tried and I'd throw it away. I'd try again and I'd throw it away again. So I didn't really know what to say. And so I'm winging it. So we got rid of all that. I mean, really, family, thank you so much. I didn't want to do this. I really didn't want to do this ceremony. My wife Danielle said, I want to see a ceremony. I want to see it in blues. I said, I'll give you a ceremony, but I'm not doing it in blues. Not going to happen. I never told her this. There's a reason I didn't want to do this ceremony. Throughout my career, with my dad being military, I always wanted him to be in the CEDOS. He passed away about almost 2 years now. And so that's the reason I really didn't want to do it. But I'm glad he did. It's important. So now for my experience in the Air Force, and what do I pass on? That's really what I was struggling with. What do I pass on to everybody? What was so important that I did to this Air Force, or with this Air Force, that would be important to everybody in the audience or anybody listening? Lieutenant DeHarsh talked about people. I'm not going to say I was the best people person, but I definitely tried to care about everybody. I think it's important. It definitely makes, I think, people work a little bit harder each year than every day. Definitely gets them more. Work-wise, when I first came in, we had a strive to be the best mechanic out there. And I think that's kind of dwindled a little bit as time gone on. Our training records kind of dwindled back a little bit. And so that drive's not quite there as much. And so what I would challenge each and every one of you mechanics is to get back to that. Get back to being that best mechanic out there. And the reason I say that is for that F-117 experience. I mean, that was something I had no clue how to do. But because they made us be cut trained, that saved a pilot's life. It brought him home. And I don't know if I could have lived with that if I would have been told the other way that he got captured and killed because we weren't able to put that aircraft. So as you go through and you say, oh, I'm done, I'm qualified, maybe take that little bit of extra time. Get a little bit more qualified, learn something else. And maybe when you're down deployed at a different location, you might turn in around and you'll learn out that, or you find out that you saved someone's life. Because we didn't know it at the time. We were just doing our job. But they came back and said, hey, this is what happened. And you guys did an awesome job. So that's really the words I have to leave. everybody's just still here. MCA program. Just did my last patrol last night. It was awesome. Got to go around. Had some problem bears, and I'm surprised they're still here because I'm sure there's more bears getting ready to get into some stuff today. So, but that is a program that can be around a long time or a while here. Definitely go do it. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity here at J. Barrel. And I definitely loved every minute of it. So, with that, I don't have anything else. I think that's it. So thank you very much. I appreciate you all being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honor Guard will now perform the folding of the flag of the United States of America.
For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor, white signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and the stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every American who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave.
Sergeant Letzenheiser, your leadership to the men and women of the United States Air Force, especially within the maintenance career field, has been profound and far-reaching. You will always be part of our Air Force family. We wish you and your family success and happiness in whatever the future holds. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the departure of the official party. This concludes our ceremony. Please join Master Sergeant Retired Letzenheiser and his family for light refreshments and cake. And thank you for joining us this morning.